Okay.
Welcome to chapter 4 of Mankiw, and really a chapter that we'll be referring to for the rest of the year. If you're sometimes wondering when you go into a store, how does the store decide what price to sell each item for? You will learn that today, or as you read chapter 4 with supply and demand, as that will show you how people, both the market and households and producers, determine what is fair market price. I want to go over some things that are sometimes difficult, and one of them is how you could change quantity demanded or change in demand. When something goes, like from here, from $3 to $2, and prices are lower, the quantity demanded for the product increases. At $3, you notice we wanted 10 boxes of cereal, but at $2, we wanted 20. And that's a change in quantity demanded. So quantity demanded is when the demand of the product increases or decreases due to the price. Notice it only increases at this lower price. And that's again a change in quantity demanded. Now, when you have a shift of a demand, or what they'll call an increase in demand, notice that every spot on this line you're demanding more than you did at D1. What causes something to go from D1 to D2? Say a change in income. Now, if everyone in the United States, or the United States as a whole, is making 10% more in income, people will buy more cereal at $3 than they used to buy at $3. They'll buy more cereal at $2 than they used to buy at $2. So when they say an increase in demand or a shift in demand, they're talking about going from D1 to D2. However, when they say quantity demanded increase, that is just a slide up and down the original curve. Now be careful and use the vocabulary correctly, because a lot of times on questions they will say demand increase, and it doesn't increase if you go from $3 to $2. Quantity demanded increase. So you got to be careful for that kind of sleight in hand. Now, when you're thinking of the demand curve, I think it's easy for us because you're thinking like consumers. You know, if prices go down, we want to buy more. That makes sense to us. If prices go up, we want to buy less. And so that is easy. Now, what shifts this? I'll give you 5 things, and I'll call them timer. Timer, taste and preferences, income, market size, expectations, and related goods. Those are the 5 things that could shift you from D1 to D2. Obviously, you could shift the other way too. So if income decreased in the United States by 20%, you would see a shift that way. Now, I think the harder curve sometimes to relate to is the supply curve, because now you have to think of a producer. Okay, how does, in a producer's mindset? So, when prices go up, notice for a producer at $4, they want to increase their quantity supply. Why? Because at $4, the producer is making more than $3, so therefore they're more profitable and they want to supply more goods. Here we have what we would call the equilibrium, and that's at $3, and here is how prices are set. It's where the supply equals the demand. So how much is demanded in the market and how much is supplied at the market will be at $3. If you went to this $4 price, and we would call that a disequilibrium, you would notice that at $4, demand decreases, but supply increases. So when you're above the equilibrium, you usually have a surplus, meaning the supplier supplied more than there's a demand. And if you just think of this if you have too many shirts, what do you have to do to finally get rid of them? You have to lower your price and you get to your equilibrium. Now, on the other hand, if you are selling at $2, again at disequilibrium, you're going to have a shortage. Because suppliers are going to want to supply a lot at $2. Why? Because they're not making that much profit. So there's not an incentive for them to go out and make a lot of the product. But yet the demand would be high. So here you have a shortage. Now, again, you have more customers than you have product, so you could raise your price because the demand is so great. And notice in both cases, you get back to your equilibrium at $3. Okay? That's a brief look into supply and demand and chapter 4. Of course, we'll talk more about it in class. Thank you.